When I noticed my kid seated by herself on the bench while her classmates gathered for their picture, something inside of me cracked. She wasn't angry. She just sat sobbing, not furious, with her hands folded in silence, in her lap as if she were attempting to vanish. I had heard her teacher lean in only a moment ago, whispering softly to another employee, "She is not dressed appropriately." And suddenly, they informed my 9-year-old daughter that she wasn't worthy of even being a daughter. Several children giggled. One youngster pointed, looked at her gown, and remarked, "Is that from a second-hand shop?" I observed her lowering her head. She remained silent. She didn't resist. I just stood there, locked in place. The paper cups I had offered to bring for photo day shook in my hands. I wanted to approach and yell. I wanted to express to that instructor exactly what I felt. I considered making a move, but I didn't. Leora's situation worsened, and then, just as I was about to walk toward the black car that was mine, a man arrived in front of the school. He emerged wearing a dark suit and carrying a professional camera. He straightened his necktie, gazed directly at my daughter, and with a warm smile said, "Let's make some magic." In our home, mornings were always a little chaotic, but we made an effort on photo day to make it special. I had risen an hour earlier just to iron Leora's outfit. It was sky blue with little stars stitched across the chest. Her favorite. It wasn't fancy. She'd found it in a donation bin 3 months ago, at church. It was a little short now, a bit big at the shoulders, but she loved how it twirled. She spun in circles, watching the fabric dance. Then, from the kitchen, balancing a buttered bagel and holding a comb in my other hand, I called out, "Come here, baby! Let's tidy up your hair." Leora walked in, never a morning person. She pulled on her bulky backpack. I patted the back of her chair as she climbed up. Using the mirror taped to the back of an old cabinet, she asked softly, "Do I look all right?" Her fingers twisted in her lap. "You look beautiful," I said. Sweeping her dark hair into a ponytail, I smiled. "Wonderful. The most attractive girl in the 4th grade." She attempted to grin, but I saw the worry behind her eyes. Leora was different, quiet, kind. The other girls cared about fashion, dance, and high-end backpacks. Leora doodled hummingbirds in the corners of her math homework. She had a heart that bruised easily. Since her father passed away 2 years ago, she had grown even more inward. We were barely getting by. I worked evenings, at the diner, mornings cleaning offices downtown. There were nights we only had eggs and toast for dinner, but Leora never complained. She had taped the picture day brochure to the refrigerator a week ago, circling the date in pink marker. "Will you be at school that day?" she had asked. They said parents can help with setup. I had taken an extra shift that morning, but I called and canceled. When I told her, Leora simply hugged me. She didn't ask why. That morning, I packed her lunch carefully, even added a cookie I'd saved from the diner's tip jar. We walked to school like always, hand in hand, past well-kept lawns and silent cars that hummed, not rattled. I tried not to notice the newer clothes the other kids wore, or the yoga pants and lattes held by other moms. When we reached the school, she slowed down. I felt her grip tighten. "Mrs. Kilburn likes my dress," she said. I fixed a loose strand behind her ear and said, "Leah, my love, wearing what you're passionate about is what makes it special. You don't need anyone's approval." She nodded, and I knew she understood. But when we stepped inside, I saw it. The folding table, the food, the balloons at the gym entrance. Little chalkboards with cute props that said, "Class of 2033. Mrs. Kilburn stood nearby, clipboard in hand, her lips pursed into what she likely thought was a smile. She was the kind of teacher who always looked like she was smelling something bad. Leora waved shyly. The woman didn't wave back. Instead, her eyes lingered on Leora's dress, a second too long. I felt sick. I placed the bag of paper cups down and knelt beside my daughter. "You're going to do amazing, sweetheart. Just be yourself." "I don't need to be all right," she whispered. Then she stepped forward, toward her classmates. She stood among them, proud, prepared, optimistic. If I had known what was about to happen, I would never have let go of her hand. Leora hovered near the back, unsure where to stand. She was taller than some of the girls, shorter than the boys. Her eyes darted, searching for where she fit. And then, Mrs. Kilburn happened. She leaned down and whispered to an aide. I couldn't hear everything, but one phrase sliced through. "Me. Lacks appropriate clothing." The aide looked at Leora and gave a tiny nod. Then Mrs. Kilburn called out in a sweet, sugary voice, but it dripped with pity. "Why don't you wait over there by the bench for a moment?" Leora hesitated, confused. She stepped forward, but then stopped. Mrs. Kilburn's smile didn't reach. Her eyes. It hit me. The class photo was happening, without her. Leora turned away, walked to the bench, and sat quietly. Hands folded, eyes down, and the other kids noticed. A boy pointed. "Nice dress, Goodwill girl," he chuckled. I froze. My brave, gentle daughter sat alone while the class posed for their memory. The teacher never said, "You don't belong," but she made sure Leora felt it. I wanted to scream, to demand they include her. But I didn't. What would I be? The angry mother? Would it embarrass Leora? She was already curling in on herself like a flower in cold wind. I looked around. None of the other parents said anything. Some were chatting, some had heard, but they turned away. I knelt, pretending to straighten napkins, doing anything to calm the storm inside me. What broke me the most was that Leora didn't cry. She didn't even look upset. She looked like she expected it, like she already knew what the world thought. The picture was taken without her, and then the event ended. Parents took selfies. Kids grabbed juice boxes. Leora stayed seated, hands still in her lap. She didn't move until the crowd thinned. Then she walked to me, eyes still dry. "Can we go now?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah, let's go." We walked out of that gym in silence. Her hand held mine tighter this time. Outside, the sun had begun to peek through the clouds, but I only felt cold. At the edge of the parking lot, I turned to her and asked, "Do you want to do picture day? Just us?" She looked at me, puzzled. "What do you mean?" "They don't need to see you. We just need the right lens." I pulled out my phone and messaged someone I hadn't spoken to in over a year. Devin Vega, the best photographer I'd ever known. He had taken the last family portrait of me, James, and Leora, all smiling under the oak tree. My fingers hovered. Then I typed, "Hey, do you still take pictures? I need something special. Today. For Leora." I hit send, and we started walking. Her steps were heavy, dragging beside me as if trying to disappear, but I had a different plan. "That photo of you and your father with the backyard hose," her mouth twitched, nearly grinning. "He's coming to—" "Just for you," I continued. "To take your picture. Not because he was instructed to, not because a list or backdrop is present, but because he knows you're special." She glanced at me, then raised her eyebrows a little. "Why?" she asked. "Because they failed to notice you," I said, pointing back inside. "But I did. And now, he will—" She didn't say anything, but she reached out and took my hand. A few minutes passed. I kept looking down the street, and then I saw it. A sleek, black car, gleaming as if it had just rolled off the lot. It looked hilariously out of place in front of the elementary school. The door opened, and Devin Vega stepped out. Same black slacks, a fitted gray blazer, unbuttoned, just enough shirt to make him look like a matte-finished guy straight out of a magazine. A black DSLR hung across his chest. He looked across the pavement, saw us, and smiled. "Leah," he said as he walked up, "I heard we've got a photo emergency." Leora blinked, staring at him like he wasn't real. Devin knelt in front of her. "We first met when you were young," he said. "I'm Devin. I used to follow you around with a camera." Her voice was barely above a whisper. "I don't hate it now," she said. Devin smiled. "I'm glad to hear that. Are you ready to make some magic?" She looked at me, uncertain. "Leora," I said softly, "if you want to." She nodded. We walked together across the field behind the school to a small grove of trees. The cherry blossoms were blooming, delicate petals falling like pink snowflakes with every breeze. Devin got to work, reflector positioned, lenses changing on the grass. He tested an angle and turned the screen to